we ready? Okay, hi everybody. So Mary wanted maple frosting. So tonight we're going to do the yummiest thing possible is maple frosting. If you look down here, you can see that I've already put a 1.5 cups of maple syrup on to boil. If you just want to somehow get into there to see that it's boiling. I like the lighter the syrup, the better, because the lighter the syrup, the lighter the frosting. If you're using darker syrup, it's going to be dark frosting and it's going to have a really thick, lusty flavor. If that's what you like, that's fine. But remember, your frosting is going to end up having a little bit of a brown tinge to it, the darker the syrup. So I use light all the time because I really like to end out with a white frosting. I've already done something started here because I didn't want you to have to listen to the beater go and everything forever. The first thing you do is you separate your eggs, and some people, believe it or not, don't understand what that is, so I'm just going to separate one here for you to show you what that's like. You can do it the old-fashioned way like this, back and forth, if you're really good and you know that you catch it just before your yolk breaks, which I've been doing it forever, so I'm pretty darn good at it, and I'm not worried about my yolk breaking. Or you can find in any hardware store or anything, here's a really cool separator already set for you, and you literally just open your egg and you put it in the separator. It takes care of business for you. Then you shake it down, and once you've shaken it down, you'll see that it separates, and there you go. You have your, so either way, it doesn't matter. There's a couple of different versions of that. I'm going to use that to make a cake or whatever later on, so that's why I separated two more for you. You don't use the yolk in frosting, you only use the whites. So what I do, the secret my mom always said to this frosting is that if you put your yolks and let them sit out for part of the day, bring it to room temperature, your frosting is always better because you don't want to shock your egg whites. So I always separate my eggs when I'm making the cake, and I put the egg whites aside, and I use the extra yolks in the cake so I don't waste anything that way. As you can see, we're down to, I'm looking for a hair, and I'm hoping Tim can get it. It's not there yet. You can see that it's not. You're going to have to listen to a beater for a minute, because all I did was take those yolks and I put it in the beater and I started beating them. And I want you to see that they started out just like this, but now they're going to get some air in them. They need to go to a stiff, just a stiff. As you can see, I just keep moving the bowl and the beater, and it's only going to take a minute, minute and a half. And my syrup is almost ready. You can tell by the bubbles. I'm going to stop this just for a second. You can tell by the bubbles I've almost got a hair, just because I do cook maple syrup, so I understand. See what I mean by a hair? Can you get right in on that, Tim? And they can see it's not quite a hair, but what's going to happen is it's going to look like a hair coming off of there. Those bubbles tell me I'm close. So let me finish getting the air inside of these. Happening. And as you can see, they stand up on their own. And that's all that needs to happen, is they have to stand up on their own. And so we're going to set that aside for a second and check to see, have we got a hair? And we do. See how we have a hair? It looks like a hair hanging off of there when it gets to when it's done. I'll do it again for you. And the longer you go and the thicker the hair gets, the more you get towards like maple candy and different consistencies. You want to stay with that first hair, because if you go too far, then your frosting isn't light anymore. It gets a little heavy and it breaks apart. If you're not eating all of your cake in one night, it breaks apart and breaks down, and the syrup will break away from the cake, from the candy part of it, and you'll have kind of a wet top to your cake the next day. So try to get it right to that. See that hair now, everybody? I'll do it one more time. See the hair? Right there. See? That's perfect. So if you don't cook it too far and you make the right kind of light frosting, your frosting will stay good for a couple of days. So if you can't eat your whole cake at once. So I'm going to make this. I'm going to get air back underneath this one more time. And see how, there you go. And we literally just marry the two. So here we go. a little at a time. Don't get excited and throw it all in at once. So you can already see, even we've only got half of it in there, you can already see what's starting to happen. Don't put it all in at once, a little at a time. Now, there's been times when I have put it on all at once because something's been going on and I don't have a chance to be as luxurious with my time as I am right now, and I have thrown it in all at once and it will go flat on you. Don't worry. The minute you start beating it, don't say, oh my God, I've just ruined my frosting. It's not going to happen. The air that you're going to keep putting into it, it's going to make it come up fluffy. So just start beating it. That's all you have to do. Just keep beating it like I'm going to right now. And you're going to see it change. See this wonderful consistency I already am here? It's even going to get better than that. And the frosting itself is going to get as stiff as the egg whites did to begin with. So that's what we're looking for. And you can see the difference in color. And you can see the white versus the little bit of the brownish hue that the maple syrup's already given it. So, but it'll turn white because I used a lighter frosting. I mean, a lighter syrup. See what I mean? It's getting there. The consistency is changing, and see how the consistency is changing. There's a trail behind my beaters when they're beating now. That means you're almost there. And there you go. See how thick it is? See how wonderful it is? So, a couple of things about maple frosting. As I was starting to say before, if kept on a cake, or even if you haven't frosted a cake with it, you made this a day before and you put it in the fridge, it can separate depending on how far you've gone with your hair. So if you separate, don't panic about it. Take it back out of the fridge, let it go to room temperature a little bit, and then beat it again because the air is going to get back inside it. If you can't eat a whole, like if you're just two people in a home and you know your cake's going to take like a week to eat, then don't frost the whole cake. What you do in that case is cut a piece of cake, whatever it is, chocolate, whatever it is, cut the cake, take out a spoonful of it and put it on it as a garnish, and then, you know, as you're eating it, move it around with your fork and it will separate in the fridge because that's what maple frosting does. So if you can't eat your cake the whole day, the first day, don't worry, there are ways around it. And if you want it to be thicker and harder because you like a harder, thicker frosting, you can take that hair down further. You know, keep boiling it a little further than we did till you see your hair get longer. It's going to get a hard top to it as it gets longer. I don't personally care for it that way, but some people do. But remember, again, if you can't eat the cake in the whole day, it will separate in a day or two, so that'll make your cake mushy. So there we go, Mary. I know you've always wanted to know my secret. My mom taught me this when I was little, and it came from her parents and Dad's parents, and play with it. It's a lot of fun. And from here, what I do, because maple frosting isn't always like I take my cupcakes and I twirl them inside it. I don't sit there with a spatula and frost each one that way. It's so wonderful and fun. You can see how cool it is. It's not like something in a can that's hard. I take my cupcakes upside down, twirl them, and stand them up, and they always all have a peak on them. That's a cool thing to do as well. And you can color this. I've done wedding cakes with maple frosting, believe it or not. I've done all kinds of things. And this color as well, just a drop or two of food coloring, and you can do any kind of decorative cake that you want. Just be mindful of the fact that in a couple of days it will separate, so if you're not eating a whole cake right away. All right, have fun with it. Bye.